Afternoon, members. You're hereby summoned to attend the meeting of the Health and Community Committee in the Council Chamber Guildhall on Thursday, the 18th of April 2024 at 4 p.m. Roll call: Alderman Nairi McMorris.
Here.
Alderman Janice Montgomery.
Here.
Councillor Lillian Barr.
Here.
Councillor Jason Barr.
Here.
Councillor Paul Boggs.
Shot.
Councillor Caitlin Deaney. Councillor Caroline Devine.
Apologies.
Councillor Gary Donnelly.
Shot.
Councillor Alex Duffy.
Shot.
Councillor Sandra Duffy.
And Shaw.
Councillor Conor Heaney.
Apologies.
Councillor Aisling Hutton.
She's here.
Councillor Catherine McDade. Councillor Brian Tierney.
Here. All right, Barry, thank you. Members, you're all very welcome to Health and Communities. The next item on the agenda is the broadcasting statement. I'd like to remind everyone present that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. If you're seated in the public seating media area, it is possible that the recording cameras will capture your image, and this will result in the possibility of your image becoming part of the broadcast. By entering the council chamber and using the press or public seating area, you are consenting to being filmed and consenting to the use and storage of those images for webcasting or training purposes and for the purposes of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. A copy of the council privacy notice can be found on the council website at derrystrabane.com. Members, item number 4 is declaration of members' interests. Those can be declared now or as they arise throughout the meeting. None. Okay. Moving on to item number 5 is our deputation, and we have Adrian from the Quorum Centre here in Strabane to present this. Adrian, you're very welcome. We will hear your presentation, and then I'll open it up to the floor for a round of questions if there is any, and then we'll come back and allow you an opportunity to answer those questions. All right. So over to yourself, Adrian. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tierney. Yes. I'd just like to thank members for the opportunity to present in front of them, and particularly Councillor Devine, who worked with me to forward my name for the deputation. My name is Adrian Lockery, and I am the Centre Manager with the Quorum Centre. I've been in post with the Quorum Centre since February 2020 and have been working in community-based health projects for about 15 years. And my own background in training would be as a therapeutic counsellor as well. I wanted the opportunity today to come and present, really to provide some information on the current work of the Quorum Centre and our future plans around a number of initiatives. And as Councillor Tierney says, I'm happy to address any questions that members might have, and I hope that members find it informative. Slide. So the Quorum Centre is a well-known organisation working in Strabane town and support people across the Strabane district area. We support people experiencing a range of emotional health and well-being issues, mainly around what we would call the more common mental health and well-being issues: low mood, depression, stress, anxiety, coming from things like relationship breakdown, family issues, and work-related issues, kind of what we would call the tier 2 on the STEP model of care. I suppose it is important to note that we would also kind of work in the kind of beginning of what they would call tier 3 of the STEP model of care, where you would have some engagement with people with perhaps diagnosis of more severe and enduring mental health problems. And there you would be engaged with other statutory mental health services, the likes of community mental health teams and other services. The services that we provide in the Quorum Centre are one-to-one counselling and psychotherapy, complementary therapies, and workshops and programs to help people address and promote positive mental health and well-being. Those workshops and programs are kind of decided on an ad hoc basis, taking feedback from our therapist team. We currently have a therapist team of 23 sessional therapists. But the type of workshops that we provide would be the likes of anxiety management workshops based on CBT principles, meditation workshops, workshops for children and young people, including those with traits or diagnoses on the ASD spectrum. And we would also, very importantly, obviously, support people experiencing or impacted by a traumatic event. That would include those events that are related to the Troubles. And as part of that, we receive funding from the Victims and Survivors Service of Northern Ireland. And we are a professional counselling organisation. We're an organisational member of the British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapists. We have 23 therapists working in the sessional team. 20 of those are accredited counsellors with the various counselling professional bodies, and 3 of those are counsellors in training at the moment. And it's evidence-based in terms of the outcomes that we can evidence in terms of improved emotional health and well-being, particularly with the counselling. That would be through what's called the CORE framework, clinical outcome and routine evaluation. And we'll talk about more of that in a second. Just some figures on the kind of reach that we have. Those are figures from 22-23. Since I sent that presentation, I actually can give some more updated figures. So the figure that you have there on screen is 474 individuals, or sorry, 574 individuals. There was actually 582 clients supported in the last financial year. And in counselling and psychotherapy, 4,242 sessions delivered. The Quorum Centre receives about 50 to 60 referrals a month for counselling and psychotherapy services. We've experienced a huge increase for services as an effect of a number of kind of wider conditions, including the cost of living crisis, but certainly post-pandemic and the continuing effect that that's had on people's emotional health and well-being, particularly in our children and young people. Around 310 beneficiaries supported through workshops and support groups. What I didn't mention there in terms of the support groups, which is very important, is that we do run a monthly Bereaved by Suicide group, which is supported by funding from the Public Health Agency, which meets each Tuesday of the first Tuesday of each month at our Core allotment site. This is just a flavour, to give members a flavour of the type of things that we kind of engage with and stuff like that. A client, a female in her 40s, presenting with high levels of anxiety, unfortunately bereaved by suicide, and experienced a deterioration in her own mental health and well-being, including having her own suicidal thoughts. And basically, you know, what the counselling and psychotherapy sessions do is provide supportive space for individuals to explore experiences, to process experiences, and to get insight into techniques and skills that they can use to manage their emotional health and well-being, very often around their mood. So we were able to support that individual to develop better personal boundaries around saying no to people when it is appropriate, and developing better self-care. And that lady was able to experience improved emotional health and well-being, as I say, evidence really through the CORE scores, the clinical outcome and routine evaluation that we do pre and post every counselling intervention. And in that case, that would show really that the improvement in mental health and emotional well-being went from severe psychological distress to moderate psychological distress, and that would kind of evidence actually a significant and statistically significant improvement in well-being in that case. Slide, please. So some of the future plans, and some of this has been covered in the recent media, and there's 2 things on the agenda there, I suppose. Our move to new premises. At 12 Railway Street. We're currently in premises at 2-3 Mourne Villas in Lower Main Street in the town. That is just about to complete, as in we get the handover of the keys tomorrow. So fingers crossed, always well there. But it has progressed to plan in terms of what we were expecting and stuff like that. So that's a huge expansion of our space that we have for treatment rooms. We have 5 treatment rooms across 2 council houses at Moore and Vullis, and the new premises will allow us to have 10 treatment rooms. So it's doubling our capacity to deliver the counselling and complementary therapies. And you know, the goal over the next period is to do what we can to meet the growing need for these services in the local town. And obviously that will be done over time is dependent on securing additional funding and stuff like that. But it certainly gives us the opportunity to do that as well. We have improved staff offices, which we don't really have staff offices. My office is formerly someone's living room in the council house, for example. You know, so it's proper staff offices and improved disability access, which is a huge issue at Moore and Vullis. And this is the property at Railway Street will be right up the spec in terms of that. So that is a significant capital improvement in our investment in Strabane Town, and the associated costs with that, right from design fees, purchase of the new building, refurbishment costs and stuff like that, is around £837,000. That's been supported by the lottery, whose funding helped us purchase the building in November 21. And the refurbishment has been supported by the Department for Communities to the tune of 525,000. So a significant development, and even in terms of regeneration of the town centre, it's great to see a building that has previously disused come back into use. Slide. As well, one of the things that I've tried to do in my time with the Quorum Centre is increase the prevention and education section of the organisation, and that's something we hope to continue to be able to do, and through our engagement with local schools. We're currently doing that in a number of ways. One of those is through using some of the consensual grant funding that was made available through councils. I think £15,000 was given to each DEA. We were able to use some of that to engage with 5 local schools here in the local area, and as well, the Rory Carlin Memorial Fund, which I know some of the local members have been involved on, very supportive of, is the money that's been raised for that, and it stands at over £60,000 at the moment, which is just unbelievable, and an absolute credit to the Carlin family and to the generosity of the people of Strabane. That money is earmarked to kind of allow us to continue and expand that engagement with local schools. And we hope to meet with the Carlin family to do some more detailed planning around that, of what it'll look like in the next couple of months. That has begun as well, which is important to note. And I myself are currently involved with Holy Cross College, delivering a programme to some of their Year 10 students over the next couple of weeks in terms of emotional health and wellbeing and substance misuse, which will be the 2 main components of the workshops that are done as part of the fund. So that would be that's also a major part of our future engagement and plans as well. Okay, so just in terms of kind of partnership with council and what I think could be maybe a way forward, I suppose it's the phrase in my mind when I came to do the presentation is that I have no real specific ask to council at the moment, but just to update members on where we are and what we do and where we see ourselves going over the next period. But I do think there's opportunities to explore how we work together to promote improved emotional health and well-being. I'm also aware of the fact that there's some work in the offing for the city and district to become a city and district of hope and things like that, which ties into our work very well. And then obviously for the Quorum Centre to explore possible funding opportunities through grant aid funding, through the council, through community support fund or other funding streams. As we move into the new building, obviously we're going to have increased costs and stuff like that. Those type of venues, grant aid schemes is not something that we've really looked at in the past, but something we may look at in the future. What did I do for time?
Perfect. You've done perfect. Thanks very much, Adrian, for that presentation. Very, from my point of view, you've been a city councillor, very informative. To hear of all the good work that you are doing. I'm going to open it up now. The members who have either comments or questions. The first that I have seen is Councillor Boggs.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Adrian, very much. And firstly, just from the outset, just to give the good wishes of Councillor Devine, who I know brought the proposal to Health and Communities to have you here. Obviously, she can't be here today for personal reasons, but she wanted to pass on good wishes and anything that she can do as well to continue in her role as a councillor, particularly for the rural area of our district, that she's more than happy to do so. But thank you very much for the presentation, very, very informative. And I know that I've spoken to you on occasions before in relation to the work of the Quorum Centre and the services they provide. And I know, funnily enough, that the very first piece of volunteering that I ever done as a child through my primary school, I think it was at that time, was with the Quorum Centre in Strabane. And at that time, that's 10 or 12 years ago, I know the issues you were contending with in terms of the building that you're in down on Lower Main Street, and it was in a poor state of affairs then. So people can only imagine what it is on now, and I think it's really, really exciting. Yes, it's a massive capital investment and a new building and nice new offices for yourself instead of being in someone's old living room. But it's also a massive investment in the community of Strabane and further afield. And I suppose I'm very excited and much looking forward, and I'm sure other people are within the community, about how that's going to help local people, because I suppose at the end of the day you can have all the money and all the nice grants and all the nice schemes and all the rest, but it's the real life human impact that those services have that matter. I obviously will have a particular interest in relation to the support that you hope to give to young people. I know it says that it's a hope to expand engagement with local schools. I would look forward to maybe seeing some of the plans and the services that are rolling out to make sure that that happens. And you've made a comment on around the Rory Karen Memorial Fund, and having worked very closely with Dominic and Karen over the last just short of a year now, in a very unfortunate circumstance. I'm as probably as taken aback as you are at the strength of the Karen family and being able to move so quickly to get into a state of fundraising. And obviously that the good people of Strabane were well over 60,000, nearly hitting 80,000, and I know they have more events planned, and it'll be great to see how that money goes to good use. Building on what you're ready to do yourself. So, and then just in the last point, I suppose, is in and around, the partnership with council. I know that myself and officers met with the Mayor, Patricia Logue, and with the Carlin family to explore how we as a council can support the whole issue around drugs and alcohol misuse and mental health in young people, and what services and our diversionary tactics and services we can put in place. And there was a number of things that came out of that meeting, which we're still working on as a corporate council, and I suppose maybe look to yourself and others for advice in the future. And then I suppose through the community support fund, just because you have put it there, I think it's very exciting, and not to preempt any decision that we might take in a later paper of this committee, but how exciting it might be for the likes of the Quorum Centre as a service providing mental health services in Strabane, how you then become part of the process in terms of consensual grant making and making sure that there's a voice at the table to be able to bring proposals and for those to be explored and then delivered within the community. So I think it's a very exciting time for yourselves. I'm delighted to hear you're getting the keys tomorrow. Things have gone to plan and are on timeline, which is good. And I look forward to maybe visiting yourselves in the Quorum Centre once you get up on your feet. So just want to wish you all the very best, and thank you for your time today. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you for that, Councillor Boggs. Adrian, what we'll do, we'll take a batch of questions, and then we'll come back to you and allow you to respond. Not very often that I will pose a question here, but did I hear right that you said you were at primary school 10 years ago? Right. Well, showing off or lying, I don't know which one's which, but Councillor Barr, Jason Barr.
Thanks very much, Chair, for allowing me in, and thanks to Adrian for coming in today and giving us a brilliant presentation on the fantastic work that the Quorum Centre does for the Strabane and the wider district. There's no question about it. We are still, and will continue to be for a long time until the funding is right, in the middle of a mental health pandemic and a mental health crisis. And I'm sure, like, you well across that and will understand that from the amount of people that go through the doors daily of the Quorum Centre. Chatting about the fundraising, we're all aware, especially Strabane councillors, of the fantastic work, especially from the people of Strabane when it comes to pulling together to raise money for various charities, in particular the Quorum Centre, which has been happening for a number of years. And more recently, as mentioned, the Carolan family and the fantastic amount of money that they have raised and will continue to raise money and campaign for better mental health services locally. And I do wish you well, Adrian, and your team as you move into the new premises in the very near future. And it's fantastic to hear the amount of capital work and capital funding that has been put on to this. And we'll be very welcome. We look forward to seeing the doors of that open, and including that, the disability access, which you know yourself and everybody knows is very much needed. So that is also be very welcome. And also with the schools programme that you hope to roll out, which will also be fantastic to see. Unfortunately, like, you know, going back to, may say 20 years ago, some people have said anxiety or depression wasn't heard of in schools. But now, unfortunately, the younger people is getting younger and depression is getting younger in people. So it's definitely very important that the education is brought into this, and the likes of yourselves and get into the schools to spread that word. Just two questions. You say you have 26 counsellors within the Quorum Centre. Do you think that's enough? And also, how many staff and roughly how much funding annually would it take for the Quorum Centre to run at full capacity to basically get rid of the waiting list?
Thank you, Councillor Barr. Alderman Hussey.
Thank you for the opportunity, Chair. I'm not a member of committee. How's it going, Adrian? I should also point out that Adrian sits on our Neighbourhood Renewal Growth Partnership Board in Strabane and contributes tremendously to the work of that body, which is a council-led body. The work of the Quorum Centre has grown exponentially over this last few years, and it's absolutely tremendous, Adrian, to see the new premises on the verge, or you know, carrying the bride over the threshold, shall we say. It's very welcome indeed. Within the presentation, Adrian, you refer to the referrals, and I wonder when you're replying, could you give us an indication of where the referrals are coming from and how, you know, that process working? What is your confidence going forward? It's been referred to as to the funding that will be necessary, the revenue funding to keep the centre going, because that's a vital service in this area, and that's one that has to be continued. And there was a final question I had. Oh, yes, it's not a question. I hope that you will remind members in the chamber here, particularly those from the city, that they're very welcome to an event next week. That you will be aware of the Rory Curran Fund are organising an event at the Tinnies. So I hope you'll remind us of that in your reply as well. And I hope that a lot of our colleagues from the city will find their way down to Strabane for that. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. I have only one further indicated speaker, so I'm going to take that and then we'll come back to Adrian. Alderman McMorris, please.
Thank you, Ian. You're very welcome, Adrian. I have to be honest, I wasn't wildly au fait with the services that the Quorum Centre provided. So it was really, really lovely to get the deputation today and also the meeting pack, which gave us a bit of information. I'm really impressed with your statistics. I think it's great. I have family members in the Strabane district, and you know, I'm sure they and others across the district will, you know, benefit from the services you provide. I also want to mention about the schools programme. I see you're working with 5 schools, you know, and that's really commendable. I think it, you know, this kind of stuff needs to start in the schools, in the education and around mental health and other issues is really, really key and important. So I suppose from my point of view, I just want to wish you well in your new building. And hopefully we'll get a wee visit up maybe to the Quorum Centre and see firsthand the work that you're doing. But I really appreciate you coming along. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman McMorris. Adrian, back to yourself. There's quite a bit there, so you can work through it.
Okay, what I'm going to try to do is address some of the points in order. And if I do forget anything, please remind me and I'll come back. Thank you, first of all, the Councillor Boggs, and we have spoken a couple of times about things. Just what you says there about children and young people, just to make the point that we do provide one-to-one therapeutic support for children and young people as well, around talking therapies, but also for younger children around play and art therapy. Um, And in terms of the plans were around the Rory Carlin Fund, it is so important to update members, but also the wider public in terms of how that's going, in terms of the planning that's progressing, and in terms of how it's going to be rolled out. There has been a significant amount of money raised, and people, expect updates of how that's been used and that it's been used properly for what has been identified, and also used in a timely manner as well, because these issues are with us every day and they affect our communities every day. So we do plan to do that. As I say, we plan to meet with the Kieran family over the next couple of weeks, myself and some of the board members, and they kind of release some information then. But the work has started in terms of Holy Cross, and in terms of using that as a bit of a tester for ourselves as well, and how we're going to do some of that stuff. In terms of Councillor Barr, he says about just in terms of the effect of the pandemic, and you're absolutely right. Kind of anecdotally, I don't have the hard and fast figures, but the pandemic led to about a 20% increase in the amount of referrals that we received. That's in line with what statutory mental health services also report as the outcome of some of that, in terms of the likes of community mental health team, maybe addiction services and things like that. So it had an absolute huge effect on everybody, in my opinion, particularly on our children and young people. And it's going to be with us for a long time. It's going to be with us for a generation. I think, to be honest. You asked an interesting question, and I don't have a definitive answer for you, to be honest. But in terms of our it's 23 therapists, 3 student therapists, and 20 accredited therapists. Is that enough? I suppose the way to answer that, the simple answer is that it's not enough. We do have a waiting list, all right, and things like that. Unfortunately, it's something that we constantly try to keep on top of and stuff like that. But the waiting list in the Quorum Centre is in around 8 weeks. Okay. So the simple answer is that it's not enough. We're very open that we don't meet them. We're not meeting the demand in the way that we would like at times, and that's part of the new building in terms of having more rooms to put more counsellors on, to deliver more services. In terms of the funding, I was just working on some figures today in terms of our kind of revenue funding now, but this includes counselling services, includes some workshops, includes staff costs. It's around £350,000 a year as income. And that was kind of last financial year. It's going to be, sorry, a couple of financial years ago. It's going to be more this financial year. What it would take to clear the waiting list is to be honest, difficult to answer. We are funded by a range of funders. We're core funded by DFC on their neighbourhood renewal, victims and survivors service, a lottery grant. We recently received funding from the Henry Smith charity, which just finished funding from Community Foundation Department of Health grants, and the challenge in this with even the core funding is that it's year by year and stuff like that, and it doesn't allow for that kind of planning and things like that. And then the funding with other grants and national lottery and stuff like that, because some funders have ended, and especially European funding and all that type of stuff, they have become so much more competitive. So it'd be a real challenge to at times maintain and certainly expand the service. So that's where we are with the funding situation. In terms of Alderman Hussey, you asked kind of where we get referrals from. The main source of referral would be self-referral. People can refer themselves to the Quorum Centre. We get queries every day. Do I need to go to my doctor to get a referral? And you don't. And it's a real strength of that, because we know how difficult it is to get a doctor on the phone. So you don't, and it's self-referral is the main referral, but we do also receive referrals there from other health professionals, from GPs, from multidisciplinary teams, your social workers, your mental health practitioners in the GP practices, from social work teams and things like that. So we're quite open in terms of the referrals that we receive. We would also receive some step-down referrals from community mental health, from primary care liaison service, sometimes from CAMS. Okay, so I always say that we're part of the mental health kind of service jigsaw in the local area. There is an event next Wednesday. It's at 7 p.m. at the Tunnies. It's part of the Rory Kearney Memorial Fund, and there's going to be a big crowd, and it's great, and it's part of the raising the awareness and reducing stigma. And obviously, dairy counsellors are more than welcome. Alderman McMorris, you says about our engagement with schools, and it's something that we definitely wish to expand, because it is so important. You know, prevention is better than cure, and the more that you can educate young people around their emotional health and well-being, you know, as I always say, when I was talking to the year 10s at Holy Cross, all emotions belong. You know what I mean? They're all valid, and it's how we express these in a healthy way. In terms of a visit to the new premises, we are going to have an opening. That is kind of scheduled for mid-September, and we'll be writing to local members to come along to that. So you'll be more than welcome. Did I miss anything? No. Okay.
No, thank you very much. Adrian, I don't think you missed anything. I think you covered everything, and I'm sure you probably know if you did. They're not that shy. They'll not be long and letting you know. Look, there is no further indicated speakers. I just want to thank you for your presentation here today, and on behalf of the committee, thank you for the work that you do within the wider area, and I suppose wish you well in your new building. I'm sure you are excited, put a lot of hard work on that, I would imagine, to try and get there. And now that it's there and keys are being handed over tomorrow, I'm sure you're all very excited for the next chapter of the Quorum Centre and how that blossoms. From this committee, and I suppose from this council, we certainly wish you all the best. I think you pointed out at the start that a lot of this was around relationship building as well. And I think it's certainly for me as a city councillor to find out what you do and the pressures that you're facing. I've certainly found it really, really useful and insightful. So thank you very much for your attendance here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right.
So moving on, members, item number 6 is chairperson's business. I just want to make a comment and offer thanks on behalf of constituents of mine in the Ballyarnett Road, who last week suffered a huge flood at their homes, and water was gushing, is the only way that I can explain it, into their homes for quite a period of time. I and other councillors from the Ballyarnett area contacted head of environmental services, and I have to say I was incredibly impressed by the response. Seamus was on the scene within minutes and was there to offer help and support to the residents, which was greatly appreciated, and I know that support is ongoing, and just from this committee, I suppose, to send out our best wishes to those that were affected by it, because it was a horrendous event for anybody who was there to witness it. So personally, Seamus, and on behalf of the people who I have spoken to since, to thank you and your team for your quick response. It was greatly appreciated by residents and by councillors who were standing there trying to help and didn't know what we could do, but we mucked on and tried to help. So thank you genuinely, Seamus. Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for raising the issue. And I wasn't on the scene. It was Councillor Pat Murphy for ourselves. And from talking to him and talking to residents following the event, it was absolutely catastrophic for residents living in that area. They are now out of their homes. They don't know when they're going to get back into their homes. But I have been with Pat while he's been on the phone as well to Environmental Services, and the response that we have received from council has been very, very good, and really good in terms of the advice, in terms of how we help the residents that are involved. And the conversations I've had with the residents, it's just devastation at this stage. They're still coming to terms with what actually happened. So I just again to echo Councillor Tierney's thanks for yourself, Seamus, and all the team who did rally around to assist last Thursday it was. So no, thank you. And with your indulgence, Chair, could I make another wee request? That item 24 comes out of confidential.
You're making that as a proposal? Seconder? Councillor Jason Barr? Everybody happy enough? Yeah. Okay, we'll bring that out and we'll deal with it at the end of matters for decision. All right? Yeah, matters for decision on open business, sorry. Thank you. Okay, members, the other elected rep who has other councillor, sorry, has contacted me in relation to chairperson's business is Councillor Lillian Sinoy Barr. Councillor Barr.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in and for allowing me to bring this issue. I received an email last night from Mr. Patrick McMullen, Deputy Secretary of NIPSA, highlighting a long-standing issue around the pay and grading review for non-teaching staff in the education sector. Firstly, I wish to acknowledge the indispensable contribution of our non-teaching staff. They are the backbone of our schools, providing essential support and ensuring our educational institution operates smoothly. And despite their critical role, their compensation does not reflect their significant contribution. And it's high time we address these long-standing disparities. And I want to express the SDLP support for NIPSA and all trade unions and thank them for their relentless advocacy for better pay and working conditions for all our non-teaching staff. I also want to acknowledge and commend all the non-teaching staff for their patience. They have absolutely demonstrated so much patience waiting for the outcome of the pay and grading review aimed at rectifying historical injustices within their pay structures and properly acknowledging the true value they bring to our education sector. The implementation of this review is overdue. The pay and grading review for non-teaching staff has been a subject of prolonged discussions, as everybody will know, and negotiation. And I welcome the news that the Minister for Finance has finally approved the business case, signaling readiness for implementation. And I cannot emphasize enough the vital role that teaching staff play in ensuring the smooth and effective operation of our schools. And this is why I have brought a small proposal, which I've sent it to Paula, just to request this committee to write to the education minister to ensure that they implement the review immediately. And I think the proposal is up there now.
Thank you, Councillor Barr. I need a seconder, Councillor Jason Barr. Members, the proposal is there before you. Does anybody wish to make a comment on it, or? Yep, okay, I'll give a minute or so to read it. Councillor. Okay, members, have we all had an opportunity to read? Yep. Councillor Boggs, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you to Councillor Barr as well for bringing the proposal forward. And we are more than happy to support the proposal. But I suppose just on the basis of the paying grade and review, glad that the business case has now been looked at favourably, and it is time to implement it. I think one thing that we can maybe commend of the executive after it was formed is the quickness of being able to move on some of the pay awards that were being asked for by public sector workers and by public services. And from speaking to classroom assistants, they very much gave the space for a pay award to be awarded to teaching staff, and they recognised the importance of it. But they too have been out on picket lines. They too are feeling the pinch. They too are going through a cost of living crisis, and we need to do all we can as elected representatives to add a voice behind their calls. I mean, having worked as a teacher, these are some of the lowest paid people in our education system in particular. Whenever it comes to classroom assistants, when it comes to support staff, when it comes to bus drivers, to canteen staff, some of the lowest paid. But our education system just couldn't work without them. People couldn't teach without them. Children couldn't go to school and get a meal without them. People couldn't get to school without school bus drivers. And I think the fact that this has gone on for so long can't be looked on favourably by anybody. But I think we need to do all we can at a council level, at a committee level, to add our calls to it. So more than happy to support it. And for the education minister now to move very, very quickly, because these people are starting to feel that, yes, while others have had their pay award, and they would never want to see them not getting that or hold back or be selfish on it, they're at the stage now where they are saying, and what about us? And it shouldn't be about whataboutery. It should be about respecting all public sector workers for the job that they do, the very important job that they do, and therefore happy to support the proposal. Chair, thank you, and thanks to Councillor Barr again.
Thank you, Councillor Boggs. Anyone? Alderman Hussey? Go ahead.
Again, I'm not a member of committee, so just to completely support the motion. As a former teacher, one of the first things I was told was, if you want to know what's going on in the school, speak to the caretakers. So, I mean, the importance of non-teaching staff in school is, people do not realise how important they are, not just for the teaching staff themselves, but for the real people who count the pupils. So they deserve proper remuneration for the job that they do. Just one procedural question. I'm not being cheeky on this. Maybe you'll say I am. Is it still a 24-hour notification for chair's business? And an email was received last night.
Councillor Barr received an email last night which spoke to me yesterday on the phone to raise this issue. And as a non-member of this committee, I'm not going to be questioned either. It's chairperson's business, and I'll make the decision on who's going to be presenting them before them. Thank you. And if you want to come on any further papers, you'll remember that. Alderman McMorris.
Look, I'm just coming on. Well done. Just coming on to support the proposal. Myself, I've spoke to numerous staff and employees, and yeah, totally happily support. Thanks.
Thank you, members. The proposal's there. It has been proposed and seconded. From what I can hear, everyone is in favour. Who has a vote? Are we happy that that's? Are we happy that that is carried? Okay. And we can move on to item number 7, which is the matters arising from the open minutes of the Health and Community Committee held on Thursday, the 14th of March, pages 13 to 24. Everybody happy enough? Okay. And we'll move on now to matters for decision. Barry is going to take us through the Macmillan Move More update. Barry, please.
Thank you, Chair. Members, the purpose of this report is to update you on the Macmillan Move More Dairy Strabane initiative with a view to creating a wider health and physical activity coordinator. Members will be aware there were a number of papers have previously come in around the cessation of the funding around this. So you previously had a report that you'll see in section 2.1. Macmillan Cancer Support has been working in partnership with key stakeholders throughout Northern Ireland, including councils and health and social care trusts, to deliver this Move More programme. Funding for the programme finished in March, and Macmillan's confirmed there's not additional funding for the post going forward. Macmillan has offered a small budget to assist with programme delivery and ensure the cancer-friendly element remains integral part of any post. This is 5,000 per annum over a 3-year period as part of a training and development budget. Council, as you know, members are about to launch a new Be Active physical activity, wellbeing and sports strategy in the coming months, and officers have scoped out options for a wider health and physical activity coordinator, while also incorporating a cancer-friendly approach to replace the existing Move More coordinator. Coordinator will have a responsibility to deliver outputs of the new strategy and programmes within council leisure facilities. In the interim, the Move More programme will continue as we enter a transition period where officers will consult with key partners with a need to establish and agree a new referral mechanism. Officers have engaged with PHA and been able to secure the reallocation of budget from Healthy Towns programme to fund 50% of these salary costs, and budget from existing leisure and sport budgets will be utilised to cover the existing salary expenses. So you'll see, member, in the financial piece there where we're suggesting the cost for the salary comes from. So in terms of the recommendation, that members note the above proposal and approve the development of a wider health and physical activity coordinator to replace the existing Move More coordinator. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Barry. Councillor Hutton.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Barry, for the report. And we are happy to support the coordinator role. And it's just to mention and to commend the Move More programme. It's no secret that I was sort of a stickler in relation to trying to keep it, because I was seeing firsthand through the work that I do in the community and voluntary sector the impact that it was having on cancer patients and their families. So it's just to commend the programme, and I suppose praise it as well for the partnerships that it has made going forward for council in relation to the Danderball programmes, the Winter Olympics that happen every year in Foyle Arena. But it's great to see as well that the new coordinator, whoever that'll be, will have that the cancer rehabilitation training, and that there is a bit of money there to invest to progress that, so that the transition for people that are already on the programme, they can still be afforded the care that they're given by the staff at council. So it's just to say that we do support the new role, and it's good to see that the cancer element will still remain within. So thank you very much for the report, Barry.
Thank you, Councillor Hutton. Councillor Barr. Jason Barr.
Thanks very much, Chair, and thanks to Barry for the report and the brilliant news that this type of programme will continue. One of my events during the year as Deputy Mayor was to attend a Move More event in Castlederrick Leisure Centre, and I've seen firsthand the programme and how it delivers and how it benefits those people that have suffered with cancer and the amazing work that the coordinators and stuff do. So on behalf of the SDLP, more than happy to support. Thank you. And second, if it needs a second.
Yep, thank you, Councillor Barr. Proposed by Councillor Hutton, seconded by Councillor Barr. Everyone happy? Yep, okay. Barry, item number 9.
Thanks, Chair. Members, the purpose of this report is to seek your approval for the Leisure and Sports Services pricing policy and schedule of charges for the 24-25 financial year. Members, you'll see just under key issues, consideration was given the alignment of charges with inflationary increases. However, other than what's highlighted in there, was agreed the prices should remain unchanged for 24-25. A key focus will be on increasing participation on the usage of facilities, and the previous report refers to initiatives that we're looking at. It's also important to note that a recent benchmarking exercise comparing council prices across Northern Ireland identified that our leisure and sports services prices are 35% cheaper for swimming-based activities and 15% cheaper for fitness and class-based activities. There's just one issue. Members' key holder costs for out-of-hours opening have been increased to reflect recent pay increases, ensuring this service remains cost neutral to the council. And due to the recent guidance received from governing bodies, there's been a reduction on the ratio of coach to participants involved in climbing courses. So the price has been amended to ensure the course is still profitable for council. So no issues in the other section. So the recommendation is that members approve the Leisure and Sports Services 24-25 pricing policy and schedule of charges. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Barry. Councillor Alex Duffy.
Former good chair, and on behalf of Sinn Féin, we're happy to propose the recommendations, and it's good to see that our leisure centres are affordable, and they remain to be affordable. Especially with and the exciting opportunities with our two new leisure centres coming up, one on down this side of the country, and then the obviously the one up in the town. So no, happy to propose, and thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Duffy. Any further speakers? Councillor Lillian, Senior Bar.
Thank you, Chair. Just to support and second the proposal, I think it is, as Councillor has said there, it is important that daycare centers remain affordable for people within our city and district. So just to support.
Thank you. Alderman McMorris.
Just a bit on record our support. It's good to see that we are one of the cheapest pricing structures within Northern Ireland, and just to recognise that, and for the quality of services that we have at the pricing structure, you know, it represents good value for money for our constituents. So well done, thank you.
Absolutely. Folks, everybody content to move on. Item number 10 is Barry again, advice services.
Thank you, Chair. Members, this report's to seek your approval to implement the commission agreements for generalist advice services for the 3-year period 24 to 27, including the allocation of resources for the 24-25 financial year. Members, you'll be aware the advice services programme is funded by Council through rates and DFC. Council strives to ensure that residents within the council area have access to free quality advice, and free independent advice is an essential element of our advice services programme. Members, you previously approved the commissioning agreements for generalist advice for 21-24 on the 10th of March. This agreement is now expired, and a new agreement will run for the next 3 years. Allocations to advice providers are based on the council agreed formula, where funding is firstly allocated to each DAA using a population, deprivation, and rurality formula. Provider statistics are then collated for each DAA for the 23-24 year, and the provider percentage of each DA's contacts are calculated. You'll see in section 2.4, members, the current funding for 24-25 financial year 738,301, which is subject to us receiving a letter of offer from DFC confirming grant allocation for 24-25. As part of also, members, you'll be aware of the rates this year. An additional £30,000 has been added to the advice services budget for a trial provider programme. A further report will follow on the trial provider to update members once we have through that process. At the advice panel meeting in February, members were provided with an overview of the current generalist advice position within the council area by Williamson Consulting, whose contract provides support in the administration of the advice programme. And you'll see, in line with the agreed formula, the proposed allocations for our 3 providers: Advice Northwest, the Resource Centre, and Dove House. So, members, I'm not going to go into the detail of the remainder report, but the recommendation is that members note the contents of the report and approve the implementation of the commissioned agreements for generalist advice services for the 24-27 period, including the approval of the allocation of financial resources to the 3 providers for the 24-25 financial year, subject to us receiving a letter of offer from DFC. And those totals are Advice Northwest 523,147, the Resource Centre 59297, and Dove House 155,587. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Sorry, members, just bear with us.
Apologies, Chair. There is a slight error in the report for Dove House, and the figure should be 155,857 and not 155,587, just for the minutes. Thank you, members.
It's important, Barry.
It is.
It's important. A couple of contacts that shouldn't have been there, maybe. Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Barry, for the report. And I really do appreciate the amount of work that has gone into this. And I will say, in terms of the advice panel as well, and the work that we have done around this, because it was a very difficult process, particularly because sorry, I need to declare an interest. I'm on the board of Advice Northwest, but in terms of meeting with all the providers and listening to the actual work and pressures that are on the ground, the fact that they are having so much difficulty in retaining staff to actually carry out the work because of low pay, because of unsecure contracts, all of the above. And the work that they actually do in providing these services to some very, very vulnerable people is second to none. They go over and above all the time. And unfortunately, we have seen burnout of many people who are working within the sector. I want to pay absolute tribute to the work that goes on. We seen very, very difficult times as we went through COVID, as we came out of COVID, as we have entered into a cost of living crisis, which we haven't yet seen the end of, and the pressures that that is putting on families and people in the general public, but then on the pressures on these services that are absolutely stretched to the limit. Unfortunately, we don't have the budgets that we might like to see and to provide to these services, and we have to apply the formula as fairly as we possibly can to ensure that the money follows the clients, and that's what we have had to do. There is always winners and losers in this process. I hope that from having those honest conversations with the providers, that at this point they understand the decisions that we have taken at this point. But again, I'm happy to approve the report and propose the report, but I just want to put on record Sinn Féin's thanks for the work that goes on the ground, and in terms of Williamson Consultancy and everybody who has done a lot of work to get to this point. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Alderman McMorris.
Thank you, Chair. And just a declaration of interest, I sit on Advice Northwest Board as well. This, as Sandra just said, the advice panel basically has been intensive this last while, and a lot of deep conversations was had. And, you know, it's good that we've got to the conclusion of where we are today, and basically in the process now of actually allocating some money to these providers. I suppose we need to put on record the sterling work that all of the advice services provide for our city and district. And I know, like, carrying out my role as a councillor and carrying out my role within the MLA office, I could not do without them. Do you know what I mean? They're there. Do you know, I have a general knowledge about a lot of things, but they have specialist knowledge about these things. And I suppose, like, we depend on them. And sitting on the board of the panel, we're hearing feedback about the stories and about the vulnerable people that actually comes through their doors. And it's great that we're in a position to be able to support them in the work. It's unfortunate that one provider is actually getting a cut in their money this time round. I know they probably do understand that the money has to follow the client, and, you know, unfortunately, you know, that's the fairest way to do it, you know, but it is unfortunate that people are having cuts, and I really do hope that that doesn't transpire into maybe job losses or anything like that there, you know, and I hope they can absorb that cut, you know, but I suppose just to acknowledge the work they're doing, and I'm happy to see this coming through. Thanks.
Thank you, Alderman McMorris. Alderman Hussey.
Thanks again for the opportunity, Chair. 2.3, the weighted percentage of contacts by DEA, the assessment of that and the monitoring of that, could Barry perhaps expand a wee bit on it? My concern is obviously we have 3 excellent providers, but it's the reach to the periphery of our council area.
Through yourself, Chair, I don't have that detail. It's quite a complicated formula. Williamson Consultant provide that info for us, but on a very basic level, Alderman Hussey, it's the funding follows a client. So basically, around that deprivation reality, it follows from the previous year, and we monitor it on a quarterly basis. So look, we can get a bit of detail around that. He presents to the panel members on a quarterly basis. It is quite a complicated presentation, but we can get it through to members of the committee if that helps in any way.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Chair. It's to ensure that the client base can be reached, I suppose, is my concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. Councillor Lillian Barr.
Thank you, Chair. And I just also want to put the SDLP thanks on record. I think it is unfortunate that advice centers, who are the backbone of our society right now, have to operate in uncertain circumstances. Their budget is only confirmed until June, but it goes without saying the work that they do in our community is second to none. And I just wanted to say a massive thank you to them and also to propose the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Boggs.
Thank you, Chair. And just very briefly, and it's an aside, I suppose, to Alderman Hussey's point, but just I think it's worth noting and welcoming at this point, Strabane Community Unemployed Group, just in relation to Alderman Hussey's point, that all those services are very much, not on this side of the district. But Strabane Community Unemployed Group have now developed a partnership with Dove House where services will be provided. And the Strabane, I think that's very welcome, and it shows where community and voluntary sector organisations are working together to offer advice and to make sure that it is reaching to the clients that need it. So it's just a point in addition to Alderman Hussey's. I just think it's welcome that those people are working together to try and maximise their reach across the city and district.
Thank you, Councillor Boggs. Councillor Donnelly.
Good Chair. I'd like to declare an interest too. I'm on the board of Advice Northwest and Dove House, and just to concur, we a lot of the sentiments that have been expressed here. I'd like to thank officers for the work that's been done, and our elected reps who, we've all worked very closely with this, and hopefully the money will be released and get to where it's needed, and also pay tribute to the advice workers, because they are at the coalface of devastating poverty and austerity that has been foisted upon the community. So just to pay tribute to them and recognise the important work that they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Donnelly. And I suppose from my own point of view as the SDLP rep on the Advice Services Panel, I also want to thank officers and members for the work that has gone on at the Advice Services Panel. There was a time that I thought we were never going to get this paper before committee because of some of the questions that were swimming around, but I'm glad to see it here now because as others have talked about, this is about us trying to tackle the issues that people are dealing with on a day-to-daily basis. And whilst I appreciate people's points around the three and the location of the three advice service providers, as Barry has read out within the report, there will hopefully be an opportunity for a pilot to see a trial provider. And if there is that opportunity, then advice services providers from the Strabane end should be encouraged to get involved in that process. But I have to point out that through my listening to the advice service providers, I didn't see any slack or anything being missed within the Strabane side of this council district. There's outreach there from all of the providers, and I think that's great. I do welcome the fact that the report's before us, but I think we have to point out that there's not enough money. There's not enough money to tackle advice and to support the advice service providers. And I think the members who are on the advice service panel will agree with me that came through very, very clearly from the three providers that we spoke to on a number of occasions. And that's not from this council, it's from DFC. And there's not enough money. I know that officers have made that argument year on year on year, and it's falling on deaf ears. And it is the people in the advice services sector and the organisations which are picking up the slack. And I think it's about time that budget that was coming from DFC was increased. And others have talked already about the new executive and one thing and another. If they're serious about tackling poverty and trying to address the issues that people on the ground are facing and dealing with, advice services, in my opinion, is one way that they could be feeding that on. But for what's before us today, I wholeheartedly endorse it, and I'm glad to see that it's coming through this committee. And again, just to thank those that were on the advice services panel for the work that has gone on it, along with officers, obviously. Everybody content that is, yeah. Okay, Barry, item number 11, please.
Thanks, Chair. Members, the purpose of this report is to seek your approval for the recommendations of the Community Centre Venue Grant Aid Fund 24-27 assessment panels. You'll be aware, members, the Venue Fund was introduced as part of a new grant aid programme in 2017-18, and also you approved a minor change to the application form at the Health and Community meeting in February, where officers identified that a proximity to services question wasn't. It actually had an unfair impact on rural applicants, so this question was subsequently removed. Members, just for info again, Community Centre Venue Fund provides support for organisations, and you can get up to a maximum of £12,000 in Tier 1, Tier 2, and the available budget is £195,000. Tier 1 of the Venue Fund targets community centres based within the 3 rural DAs with a total budget of 120,000, and Tier 2 funding targets community centres based within the 5 urban DAs, and there's a total budget of 75,000. Due to the amount of funding available, as is the case every year we go out to a call, members, only 18 of the applicants will receive funding, 15 fully funded and 3 partially funded. The remaining 17 applications will be held in reserve should further funding become available. So, members, in terms of the recommendation, that members approve the outcomes from the assessment panels for Community Centre Venue 24-27 as set out in your Appendix A, and approve the issue of letters of offer for the first quarter of 24-25 to the successful groups. Members, you'll be aware we only have a letter of offer from DFC for 3 months at this stage.
Thank you, Barry. Councillor Alex Duffy.
Apologies, Chair. No, I am not speaking on this. It's just a declaration. As chairperson of the Stratford Community Association, who was one of the applicants, just thank you.
No worries. Councillor Duffy, your declarations noted. Member Councillor Boggs, and then Alderman McMorris.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you very much to Barry for the report, and happy to propose both Appendix A and Appendix B. Just a quick question just in relation to 2.2 about that, we had asked for that proximity to services question to be removed. I suppose I'm not saying that it would have impact, but given that it was removed, were groups made aware that that was being removed? Maybe if there were groups in the past who maybe did fall short because of that question, did they know that it wasn't going to be an application this time? I suppose just did we highlight it enough, do you think? Thanks, Chair.
For yourself, Chair, it was following discussions in recent years from those groups who had highlighted their concerns around it, that it was they were being penalised as a result. So yeah, that actually came from the groups in the first instance a number of years ago.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Brian.
Okay, thank you. Alderman McMorris.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. Just before the meeting today, basically I received an email from, I suppose, they didn't say who they were, but I'm assuming it was associated to one of the groups, whatever, but they had asked a series of questions in regards to the Community Venue Fund. Some of them I don't understand the context of it, so basically I'm just going to read the email, Barry, basically, and then maybe if you can answer their concerns that they have, or if not, if you can't answer today, maybe then we can get some kind of formal response or whatever back. But I'll just read it out as I got it, okay? So, community venue funding at today's council meeting. This has been also sent to another councillor. They have raised concerns about the Ardee Garvin and Dennett interchange not getting funding. The issues around proximity to services was to be sorted out. Out of 10 groups, 9 remain the same, including 3 GAA clubs. How inclusive are they? So question 1, proximity to centre-owned, centre-managed community provision, up to 30 points. Clustering, / concentration of community-owned, centre-managed provision, up to 10. We are all rural groups given the same amount of points in this process. If not, why explain? I don't understand the context of some of this. So question 2, the new process was to help community centres over the other venues. How did this work, as there was no change in the rural? So question 3 was, why does council get no application from supporting groups in urban areas? That's an open-ended question, I suppose. Question 4, as councillors, we should see the services provided in each centre. We need to know what value we are getting. And then question 5 was, we agreed to an extra 100,000 for our own council centres. Can we not increase funding into rural areas, large rural areas, or without any funding for community venues? I'm aware that that's kind of complex. As I say, I didn't really get the context around some of it. I just really got it. So Barry, look, I'm happy to maybe give you that list of questions if it's something that can be answered.
I think that might be best, because my understanding is it was an independent assessment panel that scored these and went through the process. So I don't think it's fair for Barry to have to respond to that here and now. But maybe if you could forward it on to him, we can look at it.
Barry, if it's okay, I'll send it on to you electronically tomorrow. Is that okay?
Through yourself.
Just, I want to redact something that's on the thing. Okay.
You look, through yourself, Chair, Alderman McMorris, even if you just want to send me the questions yourself, from yourself, I'm quite happy to give a response. I wasn't quite sure with some of the questions myself, but we can provide information on their application. We can't be providing any other organisations what the score. This was an independent panel, but those two organisations that you refer to are over the threshold. They scored highly. There's not enough money in the pot to fund them. So they have good, very robust applications. There's just not enough money in the pot at this stage.
Appreciate that, Barry. And I know, this was just through at me last minute, so I don't really understand the context myself. I didn't even know what the scoring matrix was, to be honest with you. So I'll forward that on, and if we can get answers, then I can go back to them. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Hussey, did you indicate there? Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. And I suppose just following up on those issues, as Barry rightly says, there isn't enough money in the pot. And I suppose Alderman McMorris's last question was relative to that. Can we do something on that? Again, as Barry has pointed out, we're talking about organisations that reach the threshold and reach the threshold well. And if you compare those in the rural who have not received funding, I think the lowest score there is 79. And you look at the urban DEAs only, and you see funding being awarded down to 71, a score of 71. So there is an issue which needs to be addressed. I suppose also within those questions, there was an issue of an organisation whose primary function is not community, a community centre as such, but is a sporting body which provides community functions within it, but its primary function is not that. So there was some concern that I had heard from some groups in regard to that issue as well. And sometimes I wonder, people are saying, well, what services are being provided? Again, as you've rightly pointed out, Chair, there's an independent assessor, so those questions are there and will hang in the air as we go forward. But, I'm wondering, is there any opportunity within finances, that there would be funding become available to assist those groups in some way, to a percentage perhaps, if not the full amount? It'd be great to have the full amount, given that they have reached the threshold and reached it well.
Thank you for that, Alderman Hussey. I'm not aware of all of the intricacies around this, but it seems that whatever is going on, you've rifled some type of a debate which is coming. Paul Boggs, first of all, and then
Just
Councillor Duffy.
think, Chair, that people need to be very, very careful about what they class as community and what isn't. My understanding of a community centre is any centre in a community that provides some kind of community provision or community activity for the people that live there. And whether people are going to start now to pick it about, whether somebody who, yes, is part of a sporting code, whether or not they can be branded as a community or a community centre, I think is very, very dangerous territory for people to get into, because there are other instances of groups who may not be sporting but may carry out other activities in communities that I am sure are recipients of funding that is branded as community funding. And I think people need to be very, very careful that they are not trying to unpick or pick out that some communities or some activities within communities aren't actually community centres or shouldn't be recipients of community centre venue funding. I can tell you now, I'm going somewhere after here tonight, which is very much a fantastic community. Yes, they take part in a sporting code, but they're a community at the centre of it. So I would just urge some caution from people about what they're going to try and tell others as community and what is not. Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Boggs, Councillor Duffy.
Councillor Boggs basically covered it there, but I do feel that there has been a danger that we have tried to sectarianise a funding of community centres. And I think that we need to be really, really careful around what we're saying and what we're doing. I would like to point out as well that the mayor is holding a tea dance in one of these halls. I believe it's next week. So, you know, just think about what you're saying and how you're trying to portray things, because it's very dangerous territory, and what you're actually doing is sectarianising a funding pot. I read an article yesterday where Peter Robinson was quoted as saying, after leaving the wake of Michaela McElreavy, that if only he could replicate the GAA community in other communities, it would go a long, long way. So I would just like to leave you on that point.
Okay.
Can I just quickly point out that
Is it on the paper or on the discussion around the clubs? Because I don't around the
no,
community. Just let me speak, please. I don't want to get into one got, one didn't get, depending on where you're at.
RDI.
There was an independent assessment carried out. That is what is presented before the committee, and that's what I want to have a discussion on. Not whether we're not going to sit here and define what a community organisation is or what a community centre is. It's not within our remit, in my opinion. It's to sort out and to deal with the paper before us. So if your comment is on the paper, fine. If it's on the organisations, I'm not taking it.
It's not on the organisations. I was merely going to point out that what I had said here today was sent to me, not my opinion, not my point or anything. I just want to clarify that. I am not talking, I was given this list of questions and I asked them, and that was it.
I think it might not have been potentially what you had read out. Maybe it was other comments that came that might. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not going, Derek. No. It's been. Okay.
I had originally indicated to declare an interest.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. Go ahead. Right.
I want to declare an interest as Director of GCSEP.
Suppose I may do that as well then. Thanks, Councillor Duffy. Okay. That was proposed by who? Councillor Boggs and seconded by, did we get a seconder? Councillor Barr. Okay, everybody content? Yes. Item number 12. Barry.
Thank you, Chair. Members, the purpose of this report is to seek your approval to pilot the delivery of the Community Support Fund in the 5 urban DAs only and the Good Relations Grant Aid for 24-25 via the consensual grant making process. The PCSP have, at their meeting in February, proposed to move to the consensual grant aid making model for 24-25. Members, just for info, those 3 funds have been operating as competitive funds via an open call process and administered in-house by council admin staff and officers. And as previously agreed by members, the process for allocating any underspend in relation to grant aid for both the CSF and Good Relations Fund within each DA is allocated to the local growth partnerships via the consensual grant aid making model. Also, members, you'll be aware we allocate that to the 120,000 each year from rates on the same basis. I've previously highlighted the PCSP have previously made that decision. The Community Services Officer team have consulted with all the chairs of the 8 growth partnerships and strategy managers around this model, and with the view to going with the community support and good relations model and PCSP as part of the 24-25 financial year. During this consultation, it became apparent that there needed to be a transition year for the rural DAs to allow them to fully adopt to the consensual model. They were concerned around the resources they had to implement this. For this reason, and with their approval, it's proposed in partnership with the rural chairs that the CSF would continue to utilise the open call process for the 3 rural DAs in 24-25. The CSF will be administered through the consensual process in the 5 urban DAs as part of a pilot for 24-25, and the Good Relations Grant Aid and PCSP will be administered through a consensual process in all 8 DAs. Members, just for info and with consultation with our rural colleagues, there's a small budget for the Good Relations Fund this year for grant aid, so it didn't make sense to go out for an open call for £5,000 or £6,000 in each of the rural areas for good relations, that is. So members, and you'll see in section 3 here, you'll be aware that the current grant aid allocation to each DA is based on population, deprivation and rurality. Each DA gets an allocation based on this formula. So the allocation for all funds, each DA will remain the same as previous year, subject to confirmation of funding via letters of offers to council. And also, members, to ensure that small, independent, community and voluntary sector groups are not overlooked, officers will contact all groups who've applied for any of the 3 grant aid programs in the last 5 years to get agreement to pass their contact details to all 8 local growth partnership boards to ensure they're part of the consensual process. This information will also provide value to the boards as it will give them an insight of the type of activities and programs that have been previously funded within the DA in previous years. Each of the partnership boards will be required to make a recommendation via completed action plan to council. Separate action plans will be required for each fund to illustrate how funder objectives are being met. And it's proposed that an independent external evaluation of the pilot will be carried out at the end of the funding period to determine the effectiveness and impact of the approach, including any lessons learned. So members, you'll see within section 4 the budgets that we're proposing around community support. The PCSP one has previously been allocated, and the Good Relations budget is 84,000, which is almost 50% reduction in previous years. So in terms of the recommendation, the members approve and endorse the utilisation of the consensual grant aid making approach for a community support fund for the 5 urban DAs and Good Relations grant aid programme for the financial year 24-25. And the CSF continue to be administered by council through an open call for 24-25 in the 3 rural DAs. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Barry. Councillor Deeney.
Just happy to propose. I'm delighted to welcome this way of partnership working, which creates so many community benefits, which we all know, and also takes out the duplication of work, which we believe is the way forward. So, Barry.
Thank you, Councillor Deeney. Right, do we need to declare an interest if we're on the local growth partnership? I don't imagine so, but I think so.
Yeah, Chair, these are all members are on the local growth partnerships in your DAA, so that's a common thing that comes up.
I just wanted to check, that's all. I need a seconder. Councillor Boggs. Everybody content?
Sorry, Chair, it's just a quick question. Obviously, the 3 local, 3 rural DAs are outside at the moment, and the rationale is to give time for capacity building, essentially, and perhaps personnel increase in those areas. Are there plans in situ to allow that capacity building and personnel increase to occur?
Through yourself, Chair, yes, there is, and there's a further report and confidential around the service we're procuring.
Thank you. Councillor Donnelly.
Chair, I'm going to abstain on it.
Okay. So, Alderman McMorris.
Sorry, can I just declare an interest on PCSP? I don't know whether we do need to, but I'll just fire it on there.
Always best to check.
Yeah.
Nation Bar.
I declare an interest too.
Councillor Duffy, the same. Happy enough? Right, that was proposed by Councillor Deeney, seconded by Councillor Boggs. Everyone in favour with the exceptions of Councillor Donnelly, who's made it clear he wants to abstain. Yep. Okay. Thank you. Item number 13. Seamus.
Thank you, Chair. Members, I don't intend going through the Director Service Plan in great detail, but in summary, the plan covers a wide range of services provided, the summary of resources, performance and achievement for last year, key priorities and planned activities for this year, The plan also incorporates the main objectives outlined in the community plans and the various service and work plans, which are also considered and approved by Council. Updates on performance will be provided to committee members regularly throughout the year, and members will note from some of the reports considered today that Council receives financial support from a range of government departments and agencies to deliver some of the services outlined in the plan, and delivery is in accordance with targets set in various contracts and SLAs. Members' Council awaits confirmation of funding for some of these services. However, members will be advised if there's any deviation from projected funding. And chairs recommend that members approve the director plan, and Barry and I are happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Seamus, thank you for that. Councillor Hutton?
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Seamus and the team for the report. I think it's a very qualitative and quantitative report, and I just wanted to point out that it's really highlighting throughout the skill set within Council in order for all this work to be done. And it's also highlighting the amount of programmes that are being designed and delivered in order to target and address needs here within the whole district. So it was just really to pass comment on how good the report was. I had read it last night and got a wee bit of stick today for having read it all. But I suppose as well, it's action planning, it's stating the objectives, it's very detailed and gives a clear picture of the direction of travel. And I think as well, it is something that I love to see. It shows that cohesive working throughout. So well done, and have a read at it if you haven't read it all, because it's a snapshot, and I say a snapshot of what we do, but it puts it into perspective of the actual amount of work that's being done. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Councillor Hutton, I think your comments show that you read it all. Maybe the lack of comments might show otherwise, just so that members know I read it all too, twice. Alderman McMorris?
Just to let you know, I read it as well. I'm not going to regurgitate, and you probably think I didn't read it from the comments, but just to basically put it on record, you know, I was impressed as well with the content on it. It was very informative, and that's all I'm going to say. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's proposed by Councillor Hutton, seconded by Alderman McMorris. Yep. Everybody happy? Yep. Okay. Members, you'll remember Chair's business. We brought item 24 out of confidential, so I'm going to hand to Barry to take us through that paper now, please.
Thank you, Chair. Members, the purpose of this report is to seek your approval for reallocation of 30,000 of identified savings within the directed budget towards directed intervention activity within the Gallia and Waterside areas of the city during the months of July and August. Members be aware that during July and August period, there are a number of unauthorised bonfires that take place within the council area. And just for info, members, you'll be aware, we've had discussions recently in the bonfire working group. Council does not currently authorise any bonfires in council land. However, council is aware that a number of bonfires take place at a number of locations across the council area. Discussions have taken place with key community and voluntary sector reps from the Gallia area and the wider Waterside Neighbourhood Partnership Board to explore the possibility of a directed intervention programme that would take place in the lead up to the summer period during the months of July and August this year. It was agreed that over the months of April, May and June, the CMV groups in both DAs would develop an action plan of directed interventions. Members, you're also aware of the member-led multi-departmental working group that was set up to take a strategic overview on the impact of bonfires in the council area. The action plans for the proposed directed interventions for Gallia and the Waterside areas will be brought to a further meeting of the working group for approval. Within the Gallia area, key community and voluntary groups are keen to explore a local response for directed interventions during the summer month that would build positive perceptions of the area. Members will be aware that each year the area is subject to a number of unique challenges. It has also been an area of the city that has been highlighted by statutory agencies at a high risk due to heightened tensions during the summer period. Also, within the Waterside DA, representatives from the CNV sector are keen to develop an action plan as a local response to directed interventions. And members, just before the recommendation, the suggestion would be within the Waterside area, officers will work with elected members and the community to engage and come up with a detailed action plan and possible resourcing. And for the Waterside and Gallia, officers will also assist both areas to try and secure additional resources from other funders. I know the council funding won't just be enough to address the issues in these and other areas that may come forward, but officers will try and assist both communities in the coming months to try and address that. So, members, in terms of recommendation, that you approve the carryover of 30,000 from 23-24 from savings into the 24-25 financial year for these directed intervention activities within the Galley and waterside areas. Thank
you. Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me in, and thank you, Barry, for the report. Before I begin, I would just like to say that there is great work going on right across our city and district in terms of addressing some of the worst issues that we face as our communities. But I am just going to speak on the Galia element of this report. And Chair, I'm sure you're not surprised that that's the only bit I'm going to speak on. To start with, I think that it needs to be really made clear in this room in terms of the issues that we have faced as a community in Galia over the last number of years. We have seen a toxic, illegal fire in the middle of our community that has attracted huge crowds on the night of the bonfire. But not only on the night of the bonfire, we have seen months and months and months, usually starting around St. Patrick's Day, of gathering for the fire, which then results in anti-social, anti-community behaviour, where the site of the bonfire becomes a focal point for everything, for burnt out cars, for sofas being dumped, for scramblers, for everything. The people that live around that area are left in a position where they're afraid. They're afraid to leave their homes. They are abused leaving their homes, and their homes are attacked. It is a constant months and months and months. And we have been dealing with this in terms of the residents that live around that area. I have come to the point where I am embarrassed that we have not made more progress. I absolutely am, because I just want to solve the issues for the people who live within our areas and within our community. Last year, we seen huge issues of unrest again. We seen huge amount of monies being spent to remove bonfire material at the 11th hour. It did not work. It ensured that there was days and days of civil unrest within our community. We've seen masked and armed gangs on the street. We've seen a young girl sustain life-changing injuries. Over the years, we have seen many young people end up in intensive care because of incidents that have happened on the night of the bonfire. This is a fire that is not wanted by the vast majority of people within that community. Over the course of the last number of months, starting very late in August last year, the community has come together. They have come together in a way that I have never seen before. All agencies, residents from young to old, all looking to the future to try and change the narrative around Galia. The people see Galia for what it is, and the people of Galia for who they are, in terms of really proud, vibrant people who are looking to the future, not the images that we see on the news on the 15th, 16th, 17th of August. That's what we want to change, that narrative. They have come together, they have come up with a plan that they want to see, given the opportunity to work, to engage with the young people who are involved in the bonfire, to engage with young and old within the community, to ensure that we have a vibrant summer. And I thank council officers, senior council officers, who have been engaging at all levels in terms of all the different issues that we have been facing since August, to try and get us to this point. Hopefully we can get this across the line today in terms of the money for the Galia area. We need now at this point to show the community that we are not just about talking about doing something, that we actually have tangible outlets to achieve what we're setting out to achieve. And I want to propose this report today to ensure that we can send that message very loud and clear to the community in Galia, that we are behind them, that we want to see the narrative change, and we want a peaceful summer within the Gaelic community, and we want a really fun, vibrant summer for everybody who lives within the area. So I'm more than happy to propose this report today.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. I have a number of indicated speakers. I often leave, when I'm chair, that I'll leave my remarks to the end, which I will do. But I'm going to second the proposal, and I'll refer my comments at the end of the discussion. Councillor Donnelly.
Chair. And I agree with some of the stuff that Councillor Duffy had said, particularly about the toxicity of bonfires, and they're toxic in many ways, not just to the environment but to the community where they're held, you know. And when I seen this report and it says the key community and voluntary sector representatives, and that, I'm not asking for, you know, a list to be read out here, but I would be interested in receiving that list. And we need to ensure that all sections of the community are have an input in the any potential solution. You know, and Councillor Duffy says that, you know, that she regrets that there's not more progress. And I think sometimes when you know, we look why we're not making, we need to look at why we're not making progress. And sometimes we go down routes or roads that they're not working for a particular reason. It's not because people may have good intentions or the best intentions. So sometimes I think we have to, you know, look at all our options. What they are, I'm not coming here and I'm saying that I have the solutions. I don't. I had been involved in the past. First of all, like they say that I want to see the end of bonfires. You know, it's for that simple, for that toxicity, and what I don't think they bring anything to the community. But I think, I know, when we've had a young person who lost their life regarding some of the stuff that happens on around these bonfires. But I think the solution needs to be come from within the community. I don't think that sometimes prohibition, it doesn't work, and to impose something on people will sometimes you know, get a reaction that, you know, and not saying that reaction is justified, it's not. Anything that is detrimental to the community is wrong. So I think that people need to be sensitive and they need to be sensible around this. And I think that it is down to dialogue and including, you know, as many people as possible, because as I said, sometimes opposing things just doesn't work. And I look forward to the day that bonfires are a thing of the past. But until we get that, I think, you know, that there is an argument for you know, damage limitation. And I think that if we ever get to the stage that, you know, which we are at the stage that there is bonfires that can happen, I think that rather than walk away, we need to be saying, well, can we, you know, put in place measures that's going to try and minimize disruption to both the local community and to damage to the environment. The only other thing that I would say is that it's a bit vague in this, where it says Galia, which is very specific. I think there possibly only has one bonfire in Galia, so it's very, but then it goes and says waterside areas, and just, you know, I'm not sure what that actually means. Is there 1, 2, 3, 4, or where are they, and why is it not, you know? That's all I have to say on the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Donnelly, and Barry will address some of those questions when he's doing his roundup. All right. Alderman McMorris.
Thank you, Chair. And I'll basically answer maybe a wee bit of your question as well, Councillor Donnelly. Basically, I know what you're saying about bonfires, and I know there was a lot of issues in Galia, and you know, it is depressing to see that kind of culture around bonfires. However, you know, in the unionist community, they see bonfires as a cultural expression. They see it probably more differently than yourselves. So, you know, there's a lot of communities still are looking for that cultural expression and to be able to do bonfires. However, you know, myself and other people on the water side have worked tirelessly to basically clean up the image of bonfires, basically make sure they're done in a safe way, so that no, not only the bonfire builders are safe, but also the people in the community. And we've seen time and time again, year after year, where council has to go on and it's a massive cleanup because of the fact that, you know, we have a I don't know, it's not even your own community, but people travel just to be able to dump washing machines and medication and everything and the bonfires, and we need to eradicate that, you know. In regards to the water side, there was a proposal put forward in regards to the water side. The water side is a wee bit more complex, and the fact that we have 5 unionist bonfires in locations, and then there was other 2 areas in the water side who come from a nationalist background. So in order to be equitable and basically fair to everybody within the water side, as much as we've been having meetings, and we've had meetings with Barry and community workers and other people, we just need a wee bit more time in order to make sure that we have an action plan so that the money, or if any money or whatever money is given into any area, that is targeted for the right reasons. It is not going to basically buy pallets or anything else. So we basically need to have a wee bit of time in order to speak to all of the communities, see what their aspirations is, and make sure that anything that they're doing is within, you know, the proper remit of what the money can be spent for. So on the basis of that, do you know what I mean? We are going to be bringing a bit of a proposal forward, Barry, I suppose in the next month anyway. And basically we will be laying out what the wishes is for each community. I know some communities have spoke about the fact that they're maybe doing away with bonfires this year. Do you know what I mean? But we need to clarify that. Do you know what I mean? And make sure if that's what they're doing, that they are supported in order to do that. So we will, in conjunction with yourself, Barry, and other elected representatives, we will be coming back to you. I just can't confirm or commit that it'll be based on like a £15,000 spend. Do you know what I mean? We will put the proposals forward and based on the community's needs. So, and we'll pick it up after. But we're happy to support, basically.
Thank you, Alderman McMorris. I'm a very proud resident of Galia, and I've been a councillor for that area for the last 12 years. And as Councillor Duffy has said, this issue has been ongoing long before that. And I, too, am disappointed and embarrassed that we haven't made more progress. There becomes a time in Galia when, as either an elected representative or a community representative, you can't walk to the shop, but someone's asking you, what are you doing about that bonfire? What are you doing about the gallon of that wood? And the realistic point in all of it, it's DFC's responsibility. They're the responsible landowner. And in my opinion, they're not up to that challenge. They leave it and leave it and leave it until the 13th, 14th, or 15th of August. They send on police jeeps and contractors in the middle of the night, and then there be chaos in our community. There be cars burnt, there be people injured, there be it's just complete and utter destruction. And all we see coming out of Galia over the summer time, let's face it, people want to concentrate on negative news and bad news. I want to make the point that this is a minority of young people in Galia who are involved in this. The majority are the same as all other young people across the city and district who just want to have a good time and get on with trying to enjoy their youth, which they should be doing. And I think that that's the positive thing that this council can do, because that's where that money's going to go. And I have been engaged with all of the groups, as has other councillors as well, from late August last year, where we were trying to work out how we were going to do something different within our community to try and tackle this issue and provide that positive outlet for young people and that positive image which I know is there from our community. And this is where that money's going to go. And I think that's something that this council should be investing in massively, in my opinion. I want to genuinely send my thanks to the council officers who have been engaged in this process with us, and have now hopefully come up with a solution, providing it be supported here today. In relation to Councillor Donnelly's point around making sure that all of the groups are being included within the Gailey area, I can tell you that they have been. Myself and Councillor Duffy, I think it was end of September last year, November was it, went and done a round robin of all of the groups to make sure that everyone knew what was happening and knew why we were trying to push this and knew what we were trying to tackle. I think it needs made clear that we can't guarantee that there's not going to be a bonfire in Galia, but what we can guarantee is with this money and other monies from other statutory agencies is that we will work damn hard to make sure that our young people have something positive to go to and not something negative to go to. I don't understand, genuinely don't understand, and I'm with you. I want to see bonfires going right across our community. I don't understand how, no matter whether you're nationalist or unionist, how burning the flag of another person's country can be classed as a cultural expression. Just does not add up with me at all. And I apologise, but that's just my position on it. I have been in the bonfire working group from it was created within this council. And we were always dealing with a number of bonfires. One was at Meanan Square. It has always been an issue. I have had conversations over this last number of days with community representatives in the Mirror DEA, and they are aware of this process and wish to be included. And I think given, if you look at the history of that bonfire, and I'm someone who was born and reared in the Bogside, not too far away from it, if you look at the history of that bonfire, and experience will tell you that you can't take your eye off these issues because very quickly they will come back. It may have been no bonfire in that area last year, but they will very quickly come back. I think the Mirror needs that support as well. And I would ask officers to engage with representatives in the Mirror to see, like the Waterside, if there is something that they can do to try and support that area with that issue as well, because I think it's crucial in doing that. So I'm happy to support the recommendation, but I also think, and I agree with Alderman McMorris, this money needs to be spent in a way that is not enhancing a bonfire experience. It's providing a positive alternative, in my view, to do that. And I think we need to be very, very tight on that. It can't be to enhance what is already going on, in my opinion, which is negative around a bonfire. It needs to be something different. It needs to be away from that bonfire to try and provide that alternative. And I think as we're working through these plans, that needs to be very, very clear with all of the groups who are going to engage in this process. I'm delighted to see it, and I genuinely thank officers and all of the community reps who've been involved in this stage. But hopefully we can get the Watersides over the line and get some discussions and that in the Triax area, and hopefully we will see the progress that has been lacking for many, many years. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try and answer Councillor Donnelly's questions. Gary, I don't have the list of all of the groups. So if I start with the Galia one, the discussions have been about a festival and events over the course of the summer to try and engage young people to take them away from those activities. But they're off the streets, Chalk na Fáilte, CRJ. There's a number of groups that have been engaged, right? But we'll get the detail of everyone that's been engaged on this failure proposal. It's my understanding that they don't have the full funding, but if the council funding comes in place, then there'll be an opportunity to get more funding in. So we have said to the community reps, we'll bring further papers back into this committee to keep members up to date, as well as the bonfire working group. With regards to the Waterside and based on the chair's comments, it's a diversionary activity or activities based on what the communities in the Waterside say. So this isn't, there's one bonfire in Galia or 5 or 6 in the Waterside. It's what can you do for the young people and engage them in other activities over the course of that. And again, anything to do with the Waterside, we will bring it back in the action plan here. With regards to the chair's comments, happy to engage with reps. There's a number of emails from the Mirror, and again, we'll bring back in front of members any proposals or that need to come forward. So look, I'm happy to answer any further questions or any further info.
Yep, thank you, Barry, for that. Councillor Donnelly.
Just if you let me come back and look, thanks for that, Barry. You were saying, Brian, there about the Mirror, and by all means that's a great idea, but I think it has to be inclusive too. I think we have to talk to everybody. We talk to people we don't like or don't agree with, but I think the more inclusive, and I think if anybody wants to look at a model that I believe has been very, very successful and hasn't been given the credit, it's Institute football club where they were playing at the Brandywell, where hundreds of supporters of Linfield or Glentoran were able to come in, go as you know, Geller and the men go in, have the football match and go, and not a single incident. And I have no doubt that that is down to the sterling work done by Institute, by its board, by its members who contacted everybody and anybody from within the community and got their buy-in, and in particular the residents. I think that's a model that people should be looking on, because it was very, very inclusive. Because once you get people to buy into something, then you know it's very, very important on the ground. So it's something that you know should be looked at. So if you're going to do that thing, going through the same process in the Moor, then we need to talk to everybody. Thank you.
Absolutely, I agree. And when I was suggesting about the Moor, I wasn't in any way hinting that anybody should be left out or excluded from that process. What I can say from my own experience in Galia, not in any way trying to overlook the work of the community reps, what they've done, because they have led this with local residents in Galia. And as elected reps, we have tried to support them as best we can. But we took the initiative to go and speak to groups who didn't want to be included. So maybe that's a job for the elected reps within the Moor, to need to go and encourage groups to get involved as well, not just stand and say, this needs to be inclusive. What are you going to do to make it inclusive, is what I would say, because that's what happened in Galia. And at this time, hopefully, it has seemed to work. Maybe we need to support the groups and the residents by stepping forward and trying to encourage people to get involved. Councillor Hutton.
Thank you for letting me in, and just taking on board everything that has been said here today. That was an initiative taken on, and fair play to the community reps and the elected reps that brought this forward for Shantallow. It's going to be a great model of practice, I think, when this takes off. In relation to the Moor Ward, those conversations do take place. They're probably going to take place more when we see potential here that this can be done as well in our area. The conversations have been taking place over the past years. There are actually meetings set up for tomorrow. So any rep in the Moor Ward and any community organisation will be grabbing this opportunity with both hands to try and replicate what you have done in Shantallow, because it is about giving the young people something that's better than a bonfire, and it has to start somewhere. So, taking on board everything that has been said here today, the Moor Ward are taking this opportunity very, very seriously. So, Barry, it will be great for you to reach out and get us all around the table. But as I say, best of luck to Shantallow. It's something that everybody will be looking to see if it works so that it can be replicated. But each area is different, so it is important to see what the specific needs are there and what type of style of interventions that each area wants to do. So just to say, Barry, I'll be looking forward to email to get those meetings set up. Thank you.
What we've learnt in Ballyarnett over the years is when you give Shantallow something, it's hard to get it back off them. This is for Galia. It's not going anywhere near Shantallow because we'll not get it back twice.
I'm thinking it's GSA. Sorry, Galia.
Okay. Alderman Hussey.
Chair, thank you. Whilst I appreciate that the discussion is location specific, there are other bonfire sites where successful interventions have taken place. And as somebody rightly said, take your eye off the ball and you're back where you started. So is there consideration for those other sites where successful intervention has been utilised, that intervention can continue in those areas and not take the eye off the ball and allow it to go backwards?
Alderman McMorris.
This is just a real quick comment, but I would be killed if I didn't do it. I'm here as a rep for the water side, but I'm also conscious that the fountain has a bonfire. So if they want to get involved in the discussions, we can do that too. But as I say, it's inclusive to everybody. So, and I don't want them to be feeling left out because we're representing the water side.
Well, Alderman McMorris, with respect, the point that I made around the Moor was inclusive for all in the Moor. It wasn't to leave out the fountain. So they're already included in my mind. But if you want to single out the fountain, within the wider Moore ward, that's up to you. Barry, do you want to address Derek's point?
Yeah, through yourself, Chair. I suppose just these discussions have taken place with community reps coming to council officers or members bringing particular issues to the bonfire working group. So look, our doors open in terms of council officers, and if there's any discussion needed at the bonfire working group for proposals brought forward from any area, there's a forum there for elected members to bring that forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right. That was proposed by Councillor Duffy, seconded by me. Everybody content? Yep. Okay, thank you. Members, item number 14 to 20 is for information. I will happily move on if that's what you wish, or if you wish to raise anything. Alderman Montgomery, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. I just wanted to bring up number 17, where they're talking about paintworks for different community centres. Due to Lincoln Courts Community Centre paying for their painting to be done, in what way, if any, will it be reimbursed by council as the painting scheme was being talked about this time last year?
Through yourself, Chair. You couldn't repeat that. I didn't get the.
Sorry. Due to Lincoln Courts Community Centre paying for their painting to be done, in what way, if any, will they be reimbursed by council as a painting scheme was talked about this time last year?
Through yourself, Chair. I'm not aware of them painting the building themselves, but if any, we carry out the painting and through a property team ourselves, so we wouldn't be in a position to reimburse any organisation that has done work. But there will be a maintenance schedule. If we will discuss I'll get the guys to discuss with Lincoln Courts going forward around that. But look, if I can provide more detail through to Paul Haggerty, who's a facility manager, look, I'll get a look at it to see what exactly has been carried out to date.
Okay, members, happy enough to move on. 14 to 20, all done. Can I get a proposal and seconder to go into confidential? Jason Barr, Alex Duffy. Give us a wee shout when we're on confidential.